Thank you very much, and good morning again to everyone. As Yaki mentioned, I'm joining from New York, but as an Israeli working at an American company, it's very touching to see this forum in Tel Aviv. I don't know if the international visitors realize this, but this is the first event of its kind. It's truly fantastic to see such a healthy EdTech ecosystem in Israel, but also Israel as kind of an international hub of interest in innovation and education. So I want to add my thanks to the organizers and the sponsors of this event, starting with Yaki. It's also very, very touching to see such an amazing and strong and rich delegation from China visiting here. I travel the world and I'm seeing their presence in different places, the Chinese EdTech ecosystem and education ecosystem. And the world capitals of, they come to the United States and they come to BET in the UK and they, South by Southwest in Austin, and they come to Tel Aviv. I can see how your insights have really brought you, to find the interesting hotspots, regardless of whether the rest of the world really realizes how much is happening here in Israel. So that was my personal aside. This panel is going to be about something that may be particularly of relevance to the entrepreneurs in the room. And I think it's a question that's interesting for all of us. And that is, how do you turn your ideas and your innovations into a successful, a thriving, and a sustainable business? So we're going to be talking with a focus on business models, and monetization, commercialization. At least talking from the perspective of the United States, it's very interesting if I were to tell the story of the education industry. A very interesting dynamic where very insightful teachers and principals and administrators and school leaders have wonderful ideas born from their experience at schools. They're finding their ways to establish companies. They're finding friend and family support for the idea and financial support to move from the classroom or from the school and to realize some of the ideas that they've been implementing in their classrooms, turn those into companies, into budding companies. And the technology that's available for all of us, consumer technologies primarily, the costs of those technologies, the ubiquitousness of those technologies enable them to become entrepreneurs. So they already have great ideas, they already have experience, there's an enabling ecosystem in terms of technology and skills, the other skill sets that they need. A teacher comes out, needs a developer, needs a user interface person. It creates a very robust ecosystem where we have thousands of education technology companies, young companies. Then there's they go to sell or to test, to pilot their products, and there's an ecosystem in the United States, as Matt from Clever mentioned before, 14,000 districts, 130,000 schools, a very distributed decision-making process. So the local school district, a few teachers, people that can pilot your product for you and start giving you insights. You don't need to convince the government that that your system needs to be implemented. You can find your way to grow in those first steps. Then the next step of the way, you need capital because you need to hire more people and you need to move out of your garage. And there's a whole financing ecosystem for venture capitalists and angel investors, private equities getting interested in this, international investors. You can find funds where this whole great story most often falters, gets challenged, is when it comes to the question of, okay, how do I wean myself? How do I become independent of round after round after round of funding? How do I, as an entrepreneur, not sell off through equity more and more of my company? How do I stand on my own 2 feet? How do I break even? That's why I think this inclusion of this panel is so important. And with our panelists, we're going to hear some really, really exciting examples of different business models that are being implemented. So with no further ado, I'd like to go down the line and introduction of who you are, what your company does, and focus on how you monetize, please.
Good morning. My name is Udi Arad. In the past, I have co-founded and managed the company by the name of Ex Libris, who was recently sold to a large American company, ProQuest, for $500 million. So we can talk about some business models about that company. And currently, I'm chairing a company by the name of TotalBoox. TotalBoox is a company who is distributing ebooks in the US market. But we do this in a very unique model, a disruptive model. We charge for the reading. We don't sell the book. We consider the ebook a container. And we believe that to become real digital native, you can actually monitor the reading and charge for the reading. Just as an example, what we do is you can download as many ebooks to your tablets and smartphones. There is no charge. There shouldn't be any decision about buying the book. But then when you start reading the book, we monitor the reading and we charge for the reading. If a Lonely Planet book costs $50 and you read 10% of that book, we charge $5. The idea is usage. And whatever you read, you own. You don't have to pay for it again. That's in a nutshell what we do.
Charge per read.
I'm sorry?
Charge per read, if we want to give it a name.
Charge for reading,
okay.
Charge per usage, like in the music business. This is a disruptive model. We believe it makes a lot of sense in the digital arena that we are living in today. And we have actually two business models. You want me to talk about the business models? Or you want,
we'll go on to that. The next question. Let's
sure.
give Yogev a chance. And then.
Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity and congratulate Yaki on a successful event. And I'm looking for having this summit next year in a bigger stadium. Yeah. My name is Yogev Shelly. I'm CEO and co-founder at TinyTap. We're a team of 9 people. They're all here in the audience, raising hands. And the industry here knows us in mostly. What we do is we empower teachers to create the interactive content that they want to see in the classroom. Because we believe that there's a lot of good companies creating content out there, but there are more teachers out there who knows exactly what their classroom needs. And we are empowering them to do just that. On top of creating the content for their own classroom, they get to share it. So their content is uploaded into a public cloud where other people can access and find content. I often like to give a good example of how big companies might have hundreds of employees creating content, but with the power of the crowd of teachers, we can be a small company of 9 people, but have tens of thousands of teachers creating content, more than any other company in the world. And that's the power of empowering others. Thank you.
So, content marketplace, would that be kind of a good label to give the business model?
It's a teacher-created marketplace.
Teacher-created marketplace.
Morning, my name is Udi Arad, and I am the CEO of Mimshak. First of all, I want to explain what Mimshak means. It's a Hebrew word for interface between teacher, students, content, and technology. I have 2 secrets that I want to share with you, please. First, my Hebrew is much better than my English, so it will be quite difficult for me to say everything. And the second thing is that I'm an educator. I believe in teachers. I believe what they do and what the importance of teachers, and I believe that we have to light a spark in their eyes. That's what we are doing in Mimshak. Later on.
And what is the business model? What is the product that you sell?
What is Mimshak? Mimshak is a website which a very teacher-friendly environment that contained variety of units, learning units, interactive one, a very flexible one, and play-based and blended learning way of thinking, pedagogical way. We believe that if a teacher is doing a great job and he is happy with what he is doing, then everybody will be happy, and I'll talk about it later. Okay. Our model is we sell
professional development, training.
We sell subscriptions.
Subscriptions? Menuim. Yeah, subscriptions.
We sell subscriptions for schools, municipalities, and governments.
Thank you very much, Udi.
We sell subscriptions too. My name is Fishel, and I'm from JoyTunes. Our mission statement is to make music education accessible and affordable for everyone. The first stepping stone to achieve this bigger vision is the launch of our 2 applications on the App Store, iOS only. First one for children that are learning with a piano teacher, that's called Piano Maestro. It's been downloaded 5 million times, been adopted by 10% of piano teachers in the US. And the recent application that is designed for adults learning on their own is called Simply Piano. And that app is also nearing 1 million users and already been selected by Apple as one of the best apps of 2015. In both applications, we apply a subscription model, either a monthly, a weekly, or a yearly. And for the application that is designed for children and teachers, the application is free for teachers, but students that are not connected to a teacher, they would have to, again, pay a subscription. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm hearing app subscriptions as well as freemium model components. So this isn't the question for everyone, but if anyone wants to answer, when you came to set your monetization strategy, is there anyone you looked at, emulated, things that you wanted to, that you saw as role models or sparked ideas, or things that you wanted to avoid in terms of ways to monetize your offerings?
When our business model, I didn't talk about it enough, but we have a marketplace where we allow teachers to also generate revenue from their content, so other teachers can find content for their classroom very fast on our public marketplace. A similar company to that would be Teachers Pay Teachers, and we looked at their model, and that's a pay-per-content model. Also, if you look at MOOCs, you want to take a course on Udemy, that's a pay-per-course model. So we had to think really hard whether we'll go the subscription route or the pay-per-content. We decided to go with the subscription from looking at, simply looking at the App Store, looking at the top grossing apps and seeing something very similar that happened. Since the iPad launched in 2010, people don't like paying per individual content game after game, but if you offer them a very big one-stop shop solution, they'll be happy to pay a subscription. We understood that, we followed that model. As we discussed yesterday, Apple also understands that and are now pushing subscription more and more. So we think that's a good model for digital content, because you'll pay $10 for a book, but it's really annoying to pay $2 for a game.
Okay. And I'll mention from BrainPOP's perspective that the model that we use is subscription as well. Subscription of the school for the benefit of the teachers to the whole library of content and tools, or subscription by the individual consumer, the parent, if it's an in-app purchase subscription. So we're really using subscriptions both in the consumer space and in the institutional space.
Something interesting that we actually, we're doing a lot of trials. It's a lot of trial and error to find the right balance. At the beginning, with the Simply Piano application, the one for adults that we recently launched, we sold courses, a pack of 1 course or a pack of 5 courses. And we actually noticed that when we switched to subscription, we were able to optimize the revenue quite significantly. So at the moment, our revenue grows double-digit month over month.
Excellent. So warm endorsement I'm hearing for subscriptions, if anyone's taking notes. I also can say for the 2 apps that are kind of kid-facing here, both the case of TinyTap and JoyTunes, before I knew that I'm doing this panel, Those apps are on my iPads because my kids love both of them. So not right now, but after the session, you might want to download these apps and get going. Yes, Adi.
I must say that in the beginning, we went through the model of subscriptions. But later on, we realized something else, that schools, government, and municipalities often buy subscriptions. It's very easy to use because you know that you have the whole package. But sometimes teachers need something for tomorrow. 2 days ago, I have to tell you this, 2 days ago I was sitting in my office and there was a telephone call. A teacher was calling. She was talking to one of my team, and she said that next week she has a visit for her principal and her inspector are coming to visit and to see a lesson. And she knows that we have something very, very good, some unit that is exactly what she needs. And she called and she said if she can buy only this unit. And at the beginning we said no, we are selling only for organizations. Now we are selling also units per use because there are different users and different users. We have families that wants to use our units. We have teachers, students, and of course, schools and municipalities and government. So now we have all kinds of models.
So again, a bit of a common theme. I'm hearing some experimentation. You think you're going to do something, something comes in, or something doesn't work, something does work. You experiment, you change a little bit and pivot. Yeah.
You just have to listen. You just have to listen to the voice of the field.
Yes.
And your investors. They love recurring revenue.
Recurring revenues are good for investors. Yeah.
Well, I think in our case of ebooks, paying for usage is a very fair business model. I think that currently we are dealing with, we have about 100,000 titles in our catalog, in our shop. Mm-hmm. And to eliminate the decision about buying a book, just eliminating that friction. And you know, if you buy a book and the book is not a good one, you finish reading it because you paid for it. You know, that's not the case. If you read 5% and you think it's not a good book, you don't read it and you don't pay for it. And if you download a book on photography or quilting or gardening or whatever, and you want to read specific parts, you pay for usage, you pay for what you read. And I think it's a very fair business model, and I think it's a disruptive business model, and I think it's a competitive business model. So all in all, it works for us, for TotalBooks, it works B2B because we work also with libraries in the US, like we have Kansas State.
Yep.
Kansas State bought from us a reading budget to all their 1,750,000 readers. And they have unlimited reading and they pay for usage. It's the best value proposition in the market.
So it's best value because you don't pay as much up front. The subscription is something that you could probably, or pay per use per read, you can fit into your budget more easily in your example.
And there is no waste. I mean, you don't have to make decisions on books and then keep them on the shelf. Yeah. Because no one will read. Patrons can read whatever they want. Readers can read whatever they want. They pick up their books. There is 100,000 books in the catalog, different topics, different categories. They don't have to make a decision up front to buy.
So I'm trying to pick up
Everything is available to everybody all the time, offline, online. You read as much as you can.
I'm trying to pick up on common themes here. I'm hearing equitable or fair. You pay for what you use. You pay up front and small. You don't have to make a very big decision up front. I'm also hearing a matching of people's budgets and their expectation of how much they want to pay right now to try something out. Rather than a big implementation that you have to commit to without knowing if you're going to use it, if you're going to read it, if you're going to indeed be using the additional content pieces. Interesting. There's really no one on this panel that requires you to take a big commitment to something that you're not really sure is going to actually get used. A lot of the statements that are made about the difficulties of selling into education, I feel, are often informed by very old practices that are actually not as common anymore when you stop and think about it. I want to open up for questions to any of the panelists or to all of the panelists. And do we have someone with a microphone? Thank you. We have a mic runner. Okay, think about questions in the meantime. I'm going to ask the panelists if they have any questions, any of the other panelists, or to me.
I have a comment to make. Two, actually. First of all, about, again, subscription versus pay-per-content. One of our investors once told me something that really resonated with me, that people will buy a subscription when the overall value far exceeds the subscription price. So if I want your unit, and I don't want to buy a subscription, but the unit costs $20 and the subscription costs $5, I might as well get the subscription and get much more and cancel it after a month. Yeah. So if you can make that very clear, that the value here is huge. It's not one BrainPOP video, it's a massive library of hundreds videos of BrainPOP. So you can't even calculate the value. You just go for it. The second comment is about the previous panel that was here. They talked about two business models, 2B and 2B2C. If I'm not mistaken, they didn't mention B2C as an option at all. And it might be the case in China because virality is very difficult, and but it's not necessarily the case everywhere else. There are a lot of companies who are doing B2C in education and are succeeding. And if we're talking about investors-wise, that is what people want to hear, because the scalability is very fast. So if you can find a way to get to the customer and go do similar businesses to companies like Udemy or ABC Mouse and Nugin and Ferferia and what else? Epic. There's a lot of books. Just go to the App Store. Go to education, top grossing, all those content apps selling directly to parents, and you'll see that it's possible.
Yeah, a lot of different variations of their teachers pay teachers. At the App Store, the whole dilemma about how much of your revenue you're willing to share with the platform owner. You mentioned Age of Learning, ABC Mouse. So their play is very much about consumer advertising in traditional. This is my understanding, in traditional media, so they spend a lot on television advertising, and then they sell an app on the App Store. They pull you to buy their app. So there are a variety of business models that education companies are following, and the jury's still out on which of these is the most successful, but the subscription model definitely is a recurring one.
I also think that there's an important point to make. Getting someone to subscribe is great, but the question is, how do you get to that person from the first place? So distribution is I would say, key to getting revenue, especially when you are a direct-to-consumer business like JoyTunes, like TinyTap. And so for us, for example, we're looking to find people who are interested to learn to play the piano, but there's plenty of them. Everyone, I bet that 90% of you want to learn to play a musical instrument.
Someday.
But the question is, how do we find those people who want to learn the piano, but also have a piano at home? Because these are the people who are most likely to convert. So it's a tricky. We found some hacks around it. So we work with.
No, tell them a little bit.
So we work with for example, every new piano you buy in the U.S. that is coming from Kauai, every keyboard you buy from Casio at Costco or Target, every Yamaha survival kit comes with a subscription to Piano Maestro. And that kind of solves the problem of finding people with a piano. We also work a lot with YouTube artists. You won't believe the amount of people who learn to play the piano by watching a YouTube video like play, pause, play, pause. So they would recommend our applications as well. But this is, I would say, the most significant hurdle to crack before you can talk about monetization.
So kind of a vertical channel integration for
Correct.
And distribution in general. Another theme to think about is which markets you're going to serve. So we talked about the consumer and apps versus schools and institutions and teachers and libraries. But another consideration is markets, geographical markets. Where do you, I mean, we may be Israeli companies here on the panel, but do you focus only on Israel, or do you go for international? Do you focus only on international?
I want to make a point. I think that the teacher time is the most expensive time that every educational system is paying every year. The teacher time is made of preparation time, teaching, professional development, and it's very, very expensive. And we know that teachers are very busy people. Most of the time, they are standing in class and they are teaching. To develop things, they have very, very little time to do it. So I think that if you give them a very good tool to work with, then it's not only for Israeli market.
Yep.
It's worldwide, because every teacher must do the same thing. He must develop, he must teach, he must be professional. So if we will give them, and that's why they are the best ambassadors that we have, because if they are using our materials and they are happy, they are going to tell their friends.
Teachers.
Here in the US, now it's the first big steps that we are doing in the US. We have several states that are working with Mimshak, and we're looking forward.
Yeah. Absolutely, I would agree that teachers will be your best ambassadors, and I would add librarians. These are also two professions that really, when they like something, they love it, and when they love it, they tell all of their peers, and nothing is a better marketing channel for you. Okay, our time is unfortunately up, but I think all of the panelists and myself will be around through the end of the day, so please feel free to grab us during the break. Thank you.